your grandparents, and then you teach to your son, to your daughter. So these kind of toys are passed through generation and generation. That's why we call it traditional toys. And in Indonesia, of course, we have a lot of traditional toys from Sabang until Merauke. We have a congklak. In some countries, maybe they call it mancala games. We have gasing. We have pads, engklak, uh, otok-otok. We have many of seruling, yeah. And we can use that as a tools in our science classroom. And the uniqueness of the toys is their ability to embody local traditions, artistry, and they are not merely playing, but reflect craftsmanship and also creativity. So, toys is actually designed to entertain, to teach, and also foster community bonds. For example, by playing congklak, you will have social interaction with your siblings, with your relatives, with your friends, and of course, by understanding the uniqueness of the traditional toys, we can appreciate their role as cultural artifacts that go beyond mere recreation. So we can look at the values of traditional toys, the cultural values. The first is collaboration. Many traditional games encourage teamwork and social interaction. For example, maybe you like to play Gobak Sodor or Engklek when you were in primary or secondary school. It requires players to work together to strategize and achieve a common goal. These activities, of course, encourage communication, mutual understanding, and the ability to function effectively in a group setting. And this helps children develop essential interpersonal skills when they are playing. The next is creativity. The design show adaptability of traditional toys naturally promote creative thinking. Toys like kites, layang-layang, or gangsing often allow children to personalize their designs, experiment with materials. In some places, maybe you will see the layang-layang that has a sound, layang-layang dengung in some places call it. This process of imagination and innovation, of course, will improve, will develop the creativity of the student, and will respect the tradition. Playing traditional toys fosters appreciation for cultural heritage and ancestral knowledge. These toys come from stories, maybe it comes from ritual, customs, and by engaging with these toys, children develop a sense of respect and pride to their cultural identity. So they love to be Indonesian kids that can play traditional toys and during their spare time and try to forget the smartphone, for example, and it will decrease the screen time for our kids. And these toys, of course, a potential way for cultural preservation. As I mentioned earlier, a lot of traditional toys businessmen lost their job because there is few demands on the market right now. So in big cities, maybe if you students play the traditional toys like otok-otok, rolling, kites, and congklak, engklek, gobak sodor, and by introducing traditional toys, it will help our children to connect the knowledge and their identity and the cultural roots. And the traditional toys also encouraging interaction between generations and keeping tradition alive. Of course, the traditional toys will have long-term impact. By integrating traditional toys into education, help ensure cultural continuity while enriching the learning process. By embedding these toys into modern education practices, such as STEAM-based activities, they gain renewed relevance and purpose. So they're not only learning science, technology, engineering, but at the same time, kids know their cultural roots, they know the cultural identity, and they can uh, pass later on the cultural into their generation. So how the STEAM education and traditional toys link? I think Professor Yuli already talked a lot about the STEAM education. It's integrated approach combining science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, and focus on fostering critical thinking, creativity, problem-solving skills. And are you sure? Yes, some will ask, are you sure we can use traditional toys as STEAM tools? Yes, of course, we can use traditional toys as a STEAM tool. It's easy to bring, it's easy to make. Some toys are easy to make, and it's easy to use in the classroom. They are tangible, engaging, and rooted in everyday experiences. And traditional toys can simplify the complex concept and making learning accessible and fun. For example, we have this, you may know, this flute, simple flute. We can learn about how the sound is creating. Yeah. And using traditional toys can encourage hands-on exploration and creative problem solving. So how these traditional toys link with theme? For example, like science, many traditional toys can be used to explore scientific phenomena, scientific principle. Yeah. For example, spinning tops or guessing, we can learn about the momentum. We can learn about the gravity. We can learn about the Newton law. In technology, innovation in materials and designs of toys, like wayang, for example, can how kids can develop new materials to make puppets, or maybe they have a new design of the puppets. And in engineering, kids will learn the construction process of the toys, like how bamboo instrument or how egg for example, being created. And of course, in art aspect, we will look at the aesthetic elements. For example, they can create the chongklak with a colorful chongklak, and maybe they can do the batik motif in the chongklak. It's part of science. And they can learn strategic thinking in chongklak. How can they win the chongklak game? Or maybe they can learn about the geometric designs in the kite, or when they are playing Enkrang, for example, or they are playing Oto, for example, they can learn about the geometric shape of the material. So there is a connection between traditional toys and STEAM education. So let's look at the common traditional toys that we can use as a tool for STEAM. First is Chongklak. When I was a kid, I think at least in my village, every house has Chongklak. It can as a toys that we play when we have spare time. And a part of playing, Chongklak actually help the children to enhance their strategic thinking and mathematical skills. Usually, kids, before they start playing Chongklak, they do calculate in their mind which marble they will move first. And it helps their strategic thinking. And layang-layang, it explains principle of aerodynamics and creativity in design. A lot of we find a lot of design layang-layang across Indonesia. We can learn about the wind speed. Or you can learn about how can you measure the area of layang-layang. Guessing, it teach rotational dynamic and physics, yeah, and the material science. Wayang, of course, this combines storytelling, engineering, and artistry. And Engrank demonstrate balance, mechanics, and engineering concepts. So many traditional toys can be used as a STEAM tool. You may share in the chat box if there is your traditional toys that coming from your area that you think can be used as a team tool. So let's take a closer look. I bring Otok here. Otok, what can we learn in terms of STEAM approaches? In science, for science, we can learn sounds exploration, investigate how the vibration from the metal or wood or plastic strip inside the otak-otak produce sound. So we can discuss the concept of vibration, frequency, and amplitude. You can learn how the sound is created, how the sound vibration um, come to our ear, for example. We can discuss about the sound, or we can discuss about the motion and forces. We can explore how different forces, for example, friction, gravity, affect the movement of the otak-otak. We can also conduct experiments to look at how different surface textures or incline of the stick of otak-otak creating the different sound. So this basically two topics that we can learn from the otak-otak. What about in technology? We can look at the design of otak-otak itself. Yeah, you see on internet, some people make a car otak-otak. Yeah, so we can encourage students to design the new model of otak-otak, or maybe we can ask the students to use different material to design their own otak-otak. Maybe instead of using bamboo, for example, they can use the PVC pipe, or they can use like a tube from the small tube from the drink, like if you know, sorry to mention the brand, from for example like Yakult bottle. They can use Yakult bottle to create an otak-otak. And we can also encourage students to challenge them to use like LED light, or they can use motors to add some features on their own otak-otak. And in engineering, there's a lot of things that we can do. We can provide students with material like wood, metal strip, and wheels to build their own otak-otak and discuss the engineering principle behind the balance, the friction, the energy transfer, how the engineering process occur in this simple machine. And we can, of course, challenge students to improve their toys design. And this is part of the technology and engineering. Art, a lot of things that we can do. We can do the decorative arts. We have the plain otak-otak, and we can ask students. You can ask students from uh, kindergarten to senior high school. I think students for every age, they like to coloring. Even grandparents, they like to coloring. So we can use this tool for activity in decorative arts. We offer students to make their own design of the artistic design of the otak-otak. So we can also ask the students to collaborate uh, to create the different sounds and rhythm so they can create the otak-otak orchestra in the classroom. And for math, you can see a lot of shapes in these simple toys. You can ask about the geometry, 2D and 3D shapes. We can learn about the data, for example, how's the relationship between the size of the tube otak-otak and the frequency of the sound, for example. And for example, how's the relationship between the length of the strip with the sound of the otok-otok, for example. So there's a lot of things that we can do from these simple stories. So Professor Yuli also mentioned about the project-based learning, and we can do the project-based learning by integrating traditional toys in our classroom. For example, we will ask the students to design, build, and test their own otok-otok toys by integrating science concept, engineering, and artistic creativity, and also mathematical analysis. Yeah, we will start with the research and design. We begin with the research phase where students learn about the physics of sound and motion, and and also cultural significance, the otok-otok, and they use this as a knowledge to design a unique otok-otok. So the project called, we can call, for example, like otok-otok 5.0, for example, and we ask them to create their own otok-otok. They can create prototyping using various materials, and they can pay attention to the mechanical principles to produce sounds and moving, and they can use this to test and to do the data collection. For example, if using different speed, different tube, different material, different distance between the stick and also the tube, how the sound produce. So we can create the project for traditional toys in our science classroom. And of course, your classroom will be noisy because kids will make a noise and a lot of voice maybe, but it's good instead of you teaching in a silent classroom like cemetery. So for artistic expression, you can ask the students to decorating their otak-otak, and you can ask them to present in order to help your kids to develop their communication skills, public speaking skills. Ask them to present the new otak-otak, how they come with the idea, what's material that they use, and what about the sounds. Do they like the sounds, or they can make different sounds? And ask them to reflect about the activity. So they are learning science, they are learning using STEAM approaches, but at the same time, they also learned about their cultural roots. That's one choice. And another choice that I shared during the AML workshop last time is gassing bamboo. Yeah. In some places, you will find gassing in different type of shape, different type of materials. But I think it can easily find. I mean, like in cities in Java, people play the gassing bamboo. So what can we learn from gassing bamboo? It's only gassing. Some people may say, "Oh, it's only gassing. It's fun," but no, it's more than that. You can learn physics of rotation. We can learn about the angular momentum, inertia, and we can learn about the friction and motion, why this gassing finally stopped, for example. We can learn about the material that impact the spinning duration. Maybe if you are using bamboo, you're using wood, for example, or maybe you use there's certain fruit that people use as a gassing. So we can learn many things in science of the gassing bamboo. And technology, we can analyze the choice of bamboo as sustainable and lightweight materials and discuss the possibility of using modern materials that enhance durability and performance. Maybe they can use a tube, PVC pipe, for example, or other materials that can use. And in engineering process, they can investigate the aerodynamic designs of the top to optimize the spinning. Maybe by using certain materials, the spinning will long last for about maybe more than 1 minute, or with certain design, it can be long last for more than 2 minutes, for example. So encourage students to build their own tops and test different design for efficiency. For art, again, you can use as a decorative arts. Uh, you can use different cultural motifs and patterns, and we can ask students to paint their gasing. Maybe for students in Jakarta, like Prof. Yuli mentioned about the ethno science, maybe they can paint the batik Jakarta motif. From students from Papua, they can paint the Papuan batik motif, because in Indonesia we have different motif of batik, and we can introduce this kind of motif by learning using a STEM approaches. So you bring the gasing bamboo as students to decorate this. And for mathematics, you can explore the importance of symmetrical designs for balancing the spinning. And again, you can learn about the shape of in terms of the geometry of the gasing bamboo. We can ask the student to learn about the area, surface area of the gasing bamboo, and can learn about the volume of the gasing bamboo, for example. So a lot of things that can be learned from the gasing bamboo. And I think nowadays, I think it's being neglected from the science classroom. And similar with the otok-otok, we can also ask or challenge our students to create the gasing bamboo, the new gasing bamboo, the revolution of gasing bamboo. Yeah, you will ask them to work in teams to design and create the high performance of gasing bamboo, or maybe not gasing bamboo. You can ask them to create another new material for gasing bamboo. So by using these toys, you can help students to improve their creativity, their critical thinking, their problem solving, their communication skills. And of course, the classroom will be more engaging, more fun, rather than we just teaching in traditional manner. So based on that, we can see a lot of benefit of using traditional toys in STEM. It can be tools for hands-on learning. It can improve creativity and innovation by challenge students to create new type of the traditional toys. Teachers encouraging them to have to think creatively and to do innovation. Maybe some students will create the robot that play traditional toys, for example. And cultural relevance, of course, by using these toys into our classroom, it will connect the modern education with the cultural heritage. So our children, our students won't forget about their cultural identity. And of course, collaboration and communication. It's promote teamwork and communication skills between students to work together on these multidisciplinary approaches. But of course, there's a challenges. There's a challenges. The first one, I found that the challenge that I found that we are lack of relevant teaching resources. I think it's opportunity. It's not only challenges, but opportunity for us in science education, Tarbiyah in Jakarta, to create resources for teaching or teaching materials, so we can create lesson plans and design lessons that utilize traditional toys as educational tools, and limited teacher training. Yeah, nowadays I think most of teachers training are doing things that relate with a digital. Since we are in digital era, in that create the materials, create the tools, create the media using digital technology. But at the same time, we should also encourage teachers to use things that available around us, and things that are being neglected, such as traditional toys. So maybe in the next the near future, we would like to do the teachers training, and maybe for lecturers who teach like science for PAUD or PAUD or PGME, you can try to integrate the ethno and the traditional toys when you are teaching science for PAUD teacher or science for elementary teachers. And of course, the challenge is to change the perceptions among the digital children. Yeah, most people says that our children right now is native digital, and they are really to rely on the digital. So changing their perception about the games is quite difficult, because for them maybe the toys that you bring, the toys that we play is outdated, it's not entertaining. So of course it needs a big efforts to change this children perception. So what can we do? We can do some collaborative work. We can develop learning modules for teaching STEM approaches using traditional toys. I try to find it searching online. I don't find anything in Indonesia who the model that the guideline of using traditional toys as teaching science or teaching science using STEM approaches. And we can collaborate with local community, um, from the arts and cultural group to introduce traditional toys to school during open house at schools. We can invite like artisans and cultural groups to do the activity at school. And also we may integrate this material into school curriculum. As we know that using curriculum Merdeka, I think uh, not only curriculum Merdeka, since the curriculum KTSP, schools have actually a room to develop their curriculum. And there is a room for them to use traditional toys to be implemented in a science classroom. So that's a thing that we can do. So to conclude this talk, we may see that traditional toys are effective tool for STEM education for preserving cultural heritage. Bringing toys to the classroom not only to entertain kids, but also to introduce them to their cultural roots and to preserve our culture. And the integration of traditional toys into education, of course, foster creativity, innovation, and pride in local tradition. So I think that's all from me. And so let's work together to bring cultural richness into modern education. And by doing so, we can build a generation that is not only skilled and innovative, but also deeply connected to the real world. So thank you for your attention and participation. If you are interested in staying in touch, discuss about this idea, maybe if you are students from science education, PGME, PAUD, you like to do the collaborative research on bringing traditional toys into the science classroom in PAUD, PGME, or in junior high school, you can contact me at my contact number or my Instagram. Again, thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much for the lucid information about the topic, Pak Munas. It is an eye-opening for me, at least, that how an otok-otok, is it really otok-otok the name?
Yes, this otok because in some places because this sounds like otok tok tok tok. People call it otok.
What a
Yeah.
sophisticated name. How an otok-otok can be a very powerful means of learning. Okay, and we are now going to the question and answer session. But before that, a very quick question for the two presenters, for Prof. Yuli and Pak Munas. When talking about STEAM, do we use the term implemented or embedded? Like, for example, when we talk about critical thinking, it is not implemented. but then it is embedded or inserted. How about STEM education? The notion of STEM or STEM, is it implemented or embedded? Yes, who will answer first? Pak Munas or Prof. Yuli first? That's question from me. Gak boleh
Munas silakan. Pak Munas baru
Okay, I
selesai
think
bicara jadi langsung.
so I think it's really depend on if you look at the literature. I think this word is interchangeable. You can use like embedded STEM education. You can implement the STEM education. It's really depend on how this term is using in the context. Maybe you can select embedded STEM education in religious subjects, for example. We can do that. For example, we learn SKI, Sejarah Kebudayaan Islam in madrasah. For example, we may learn about the sport of panahan, misalnya kenapa dulu orang belajar panahan, how's the science that, gitu. It's really so then it's really depend on. There is no, I think, as far as I know, there is no strict rules. You use implemented or implementation, or you use embedded. That's as far as I know. So yeah,
Okay,
it's
thank
really
you.
depend on the context that you use that.
Okay, how about you, Prof. Yuli?
Yeah, I think, even not only the embedded integration and blah, 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 even the STEM itself is challenging to understand because if you select Pak Munas is the STEM lecturer, and also anyone who involved in STEM discipline like science, technology, mathematics, it is the student STEM lecture. So it can be like it is only itself, or we combine it together. Even only we combine two of the subject. So we have to be aware like where is our position, and then it can be not only for the whole life we just using as the integrated. We can use it like it by itself or only two, or like we cannot always be a project-based learning. It can be only problem. Even like because I got the grant from the Fulbright in USA. Can you imagine like the lecture from physics, biology, mathematics, and then also chemistry come together to teach diabetes into the students in UNJ. What happened is the chemistry lectures teach about throughout the biochemistry to teach the diabetes. The physics teacher talk about the rate reaction as well. I mean the rate into the physics perspective. And the challenging for me is when the mathematics lecturer teaching about diabetes, because they have to, all the formula comes across the subject. So it is the STEAM as the framework, how we integrated all the subject together, the basic principle, the body of knowledge, including all the literacy and so on. So up to you. You just need to define, and then you just do it in the classroom and also teaching and research. Thank you, Mamaya.
Okay, I'm a bit sensitive about this because my background is in language. So the term embedded, integrated, implemented, they are different.
Yeah, because some using integration, integrated STEM, implementation, and but yeah.
Okay. So dimaafkan ya, all terms
Yeah.
are adopted. Okay. Okay, let's go to the first question. The first question is from one of the committees. The question goes to Prof. Yuli. The question is, because you are talking a lot about project-based, problem-based learning, and the question is, should we provide the issue to the students or let them explore the issue?
Okay.
Prof. Yuli.
Okay, first, it is choice. After my answer, I will show the design thinking. So the first, it should be the scaffolding problems. Can you imagine like we haven't talked about the solution? Like Pak Zikri mentioned about the problems. Choosing the problems, it is really the real challenging in design thinking and also the STEM project, because the student cannot be focusing on the problems. Sometimes they just, give the list of problem, and they just confusing how to choose the problem that they would like to focus. So the idea is the best one is they have to explore by itself but because we're using the scaffolding, but if they cannot, we have to like provide, for example, we would like to provide the problems in the canteen in UIN. So they have to come to the canteen to explore the problem throughout observation, throughout the interview, for example. So the student in the STEM, they have to hands-on doing it by themselves throughout the news, the what is it, the literature and so on. So we have to do the scaffolding approach, and then the problem should be meaningful. So they have to be related to their daily lives. And then the third one, you can engage with the stakeholder. For example, what I'm doing it when I ask my students to explore the problem in museum in Jakarta Kota Tua. And what I'm doing is I invited the staff from museum. Jadi saya bayar pegawai museum untuk datang ke kelas saya supaya the student doing the interview, what is the problem and so on. And it is amazing that the students, mahasiswa, find out the problems like there is no sign, and it is the rubbish bin is not provided properly, blah blah blah. So all the problems, so many problems, but they need to choose which are the problem. So I think the meaningful problem scaffolding, and then encourage asking the expert is one of the way as well. So Pak Zikri, I will show you the design thinking, yeah, and probably I already implementing it in the teacher training and also in the research. So it is the ideas. So on the empathize, doing the interview, observation, and so on, ask your student to choose. You are the one who, it is the scaffolding. So you are the one who choose which place of the problem. For example, in the canteen, in the library, in the museum, in the river, for example, and the students exploring the problems, doing the interview with the people and so on. The second one, they need to define the problems. They have to choose which one. And through the ideate one, they have to problem solution. For example, I would like to create the car with the renewable energy. I would like to create the application and so on for the problem solution. They develop the product and they doing the testing. On the testing, this one, they have to be back to the people on the empathize, back to the people on the cafe, back to the people in the museum to ask whether their solution is solving the problems or not based on their opinion. So it is the ideal one. If you don't have time, probably doing in the classroom, you give the case or the student have to be explore the case, but if you teach not related to your subject, it is difficult. So you cannot open up all the problems but not related to your teaching. For example, in chemistry, seperti mengajar colloid. So the problem should be related to the colloid. So we are the one who create the learning design. So the student can be focused because we cannot separate like you have to understanding about the concept of colloid. At the same time, you have to implementing how to solve the problems to the topic of colloid. So it's like scientific literacy, physics literacy, mathematics literacy, and so on. So it is about the literacy, how to implementing the knowledge and how to solve the problems through our knowledge in the subject matter. So that's Pak Zikri question. Yeah, probably next time if I have time to explain more about design thinking, because it's very interesting to help students to focusing on the problems.
Okay,
Thank you,
so
Maya, Pak Zikri.
thank you,
Si Bu Yuli.
So ideally, it should be the student who come up with
Yeah.
the problem or issue,
Yeah.
but it may relate to their critical thinking or their thinking skills, and then the teacher should scaffold their thinking so that they come up with the issue itself, and it will be meaningful when the problem comes from the students. Okay, thank you so much. Next question is for Pak Munas. Pak Munas, it's very interesting talking about otak-otak and how it can be a very, sorry, my background is quite noisy, and how it can be a very meaningful resources. The question is, so today, not many students are using traditional toys. They are mostly what doing something with the games, online games, and so on and so forth. So how traditional toys can actually be used by the students, mean relevant for them, and how can teacher make use of the learning? Yes.
Okay, thank you so much for the question. It's an interesting question because students, especially in big cities, they don't even know what is the otak-otak is. Yeah. For example,
Yeah.
I have experience myself. My son, he's 5 years, fifth grader. Before I went to Thailand last August, I bring a lot of otak-otak. I bring around 50 otak-otak because I have to share the idea. And then when it comes to my house and my son said, "What's that? I've never seen this." So it's really surprised me because when our kids, our era, I think you can find it easily. You can play with that. So this is as a responsibility of the adults, the parents, the teacher at school, to introduce a lot of things, not only the tradition that we have, uh, also but the value. So first one, teachers, parents, and also local community have their responsibility to introduce this stuff to the kids. So it's interesting in the developed countries, our neighbor countries, Singapore. I think one of the only one countries that we categorize as developed country in ASEAN is Singapore. And every year, the Singapore Science Museum doing the competition, the traditional toys competition, creating traditional toys competition for students from primary to secondary school. And many students engage in that activity and creating that toys. So it's our roles to create such an event. So schools maybe during their open house, they can invite local artisans come to the schools and introduce the traditional toys. Schools during Independence Day, we can use traditional toys, introducing the traditional toys to kids during Independence Day celebration. So kids are familiar with it. So when kids familiar with it, they will play with it. So even my son, as I mentioned earlier, that he never seen it before, but he liked to play after he saw this. So I think kids like to play anything. It's not. It doesn't need something that digital. It can be traditional. So maybe at school sometimes like teachers or management have to do like free from the smartphone, free from the gadget day, for example. And during that day, we can introduce traditional toys. We can choose traditional food. So our kids know their culture, know their roots. So we can pass this identity from generation to generation. So of course, this is responsibility of the teachers, of the parents, of the community to um, help kids know their uh, cultural heritage, including the traditional toys. But and I don't think it's difficult to bring this into classroom because you can now we have marketplace. You can buy it online. It's cheap. Buy it online. It's only 3,000 each, and you have 30 students in a class. Maybe it need like 90,000 rupiah, and you can explore many things in your class. So it's really depend on the willingness of the teachers. If they really will to bring it, yeah, you can do it because it's simple. It's around us. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think the next question still relate to the previous question for Pak Munas. Next question is from Prof. Zulfi. Her question is, how can, so it's available, it's cheap, but then how can we convince the teachers that they are willing to use these traditional toys in their classroom?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Prof. Zulfiani, for the questions. That's interesting question. So, I think we can start by movement, doing something. For example, from the Faculty of Tarbiyah, we are from science education. We can developing the module using traditional toys in your science classroom, for example, and then we create such a workshop for our teachers. We have like kegiatan pengabdian masyarakat. Maybe we can use this activity as a time for doing workshop for introducing traditional toys for science teachers. As far as I'm concerned, that the science teachers, they don't use this because they don't know how to use it. So maybe they need the guideline. So if we can convince them, this is things that you can use as a tool in your classroom, and it can be integrated into the school curriculum. So I think they will use it. They will use it because it's happened. I mean, across the country in ASEAN right now. In Thailand, they have like a workshop for teachers using traditional toys in the classroom because most of educators right now are really worried about the digitalized things. It's screening times. So it's a time for us to go back to the classic mode. Like in Nordic countries, I mentioned, they start to ban smart school. And I think there's also last week from Australia, I think some part of Australia banned smartphone from the schools, banned social media until the kids reach 16, meaning that there is room for us. So yeah, we develop the module, we do the workshop for the teachers, and I think it can convince them. And maybe we do collaborative research with the teachers at certain madrasah and schools. So we can use this in the classroom. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Perhaps doing class action research with the teachers, collaborative action research.
Yeah, collaborative action research with the teachers. Yeah.
Yeah, can
And
actually
also maybe I forgot,
spread
maybe
the
the
concept of
Tarbiyah
using.
faculty has responsibility for this because we have like teaching science for PIAUD, we have mata kuliah teaching science for PGMI, we have like teaching science for secondary, like junior secondary in physics and biology and chemistry. Lecturer can I think can design a lesson using the traditional toys in teaching PIAUD or PGMI classes. Yeah, thank you, Bu Maya and Prof. Zulfi.
Thank you.
Bu Mayanya living
Halo,
kayaknya.
Bu Maya, are you here? I think sinyalnya ya, Bu Mayanya.
Prof. Zulfi apa kabar?
Alhamdulillah. Thank you, Prof.
Oh,
Yuli.
okay.
Pak
Bu
Munas,
Maya
thank
is
you.
back.
Yep.
Welcome, Prof. Zulfi.
It's the second time saya terlempar dari Zoom. Okay, I have it okay now.
Yeah, it's fine.
Zoomnya lagi
Yeah, we
suka
can hear you
bercanda sama saya.
clearly. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Pak Munas. Now, I will go to the next question from Dina Rahma Fadilah. The question addressed to Prof. Yuli. So STEM or STEAM is actually interdisciplinary to certain extent, to conclude. And then because it is interdisciplinary, Dina's question is, if we are going to implement STEM, how can we make sure that it is not cocok logi? Thinking that mungkin itu sama gitu, berhubungan. How can we make sure that it is not cocok logi? What is
Yeah.
cocok logi in English?
Cocok logi.
Sensei.
Nah, Mbak Maya yang language nih. Nggak tahu cocok logi. Match-matchan.
Match-matchan.
Pokoknya apa aja bisa pakai bahasa Indonesia ya. Oke. So probably the question will be related each other, yeah. How we integrate it. So based on my experience, to integrate it different subjects. So for example, the first one I did it in when I become a teacher in Australia. So I had experience like 3 years conducting the research and teaching in Australian school. So in the early semester, all the teachers should be come together to design the lesson. For example, for year 7, you cannot give the project. All teacher cannot give each project for each subject. It should be combined together. It's like the principal, like the vice principal, the coordinator of curriculum, like mentioned, we have to combine. We have to decide it like year 10 only have 2 projects. Means all the subject in year 10 should be combined to develop the project. So for example, if we would like to, the problem is how to design eco-friendly building, for example. So the problem is how to design, because we really would like to develop the eco-friendly building. So the integration can be from the science and math. They can mention about how the energy efficiency, how the science concept into the building, how the structure in the engineering, and then the other field language, the cultures, the religion, and so on. Not religion. So because religion they didn't use it. So like how the culture, social science, the language, history, put on the knowledge on that buildings. So that's we develop the thematic approach. So the ideas is all the teachers develop their learning outcomes. So like what is the learning outcome of the language teacher? For example, they have to understand the procedure text in Indonesia. So they can write like how to develop the eco-friendly building. How about the social economic sense? So they can develop how the efficiency, saving the cost in the eco-friendly building. How the science, the mathematics, it is clear how to develop the eco-friendly building must be science and mathematics. So so there is 3 points. First, it should be thematic and problem-based connection between the all subject. The second one, it should be related to the learning objectives. So I have to underline this learning objective. We cannot teach STEM in Indonesia without related to the curricula, because what we would like to do in the classroom. But if you're doing it like project P5 and so on, it can be content free. But when you would like to implement it in the classroom, it should be related to capaian pembelajaran, tujuan pembelajaran that related to that subject. And the third one, if you have limited knowledge on all the subject, usually the teachers come in the classroom. Or if the teacher is separate, we can like mention, for example, Pak Zikri teaching physics and I'm teaching chemistry. I can say like, do you remember the project that we would like to develop? So we learn chemistry, blah, 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 related to the project. And Pak Zikri teaching physics related to the project in each classroom. Or what I'm doing, sometimes I in Australian school and also my student doing in the school, invited the student, the mahasiswa, calon guru yang from different subject. So like engineering students come to chemistry classroom, language student come to the chemistry classroom, because we would like to the student develop the connection between the subject when we are in the classroom. So the fourth one, that like objective, thematic, and then the collaboration with the expert on the field. The fourth one is assessment. Yeah, if we like, if the activities is so wonderful, but when you ask the question is like only 4+3 is nonsense. So the assessment should be related to the teaching. So the assessment should be authentic, should be case-based, should be formative assessment, and then without ignoring the understanding the concept. So Bu Maya, I think that's all. And yeah, I can show you later on for probably Mbak Dina ya. Probably we can discuss about what kind of project when we combine. So based on my experience, it can be done. Combine all the subject with that kind of criteria. Thank you, Mbak Dina, for the question.
Thank you, Prof. Yuli. So as you mentioned about assessment, I remember that I was once asked to be keynote speaker for one school. And then the reason is because they conducted a project and they didn't know how to assess the project.
Yeah.
So, the design is the most important one, yes, Prof. Yuli.
Yes.
And I think this relates to the question from Ibu Gelar. So her question is how to develop STEM in learning chemistry, which should be the priority? Is it the concept or the context?
Okay.
Which comes first? That's her question. Is
Okay.
it
So, so it will be also related to the question, what is the dilemma or so on. So I will show you first, I will show you about the STEM can be become the problem based or can be become a project based learning. When it become a problem based learning, it's only the solution without creating the project. I did it when I got the training from the professor in Singapore. They're only focusing on the problem based, not the project based. But when we move to the project based, we create the product. So we can choose like the common project based learning that we are doing. So for the chemistry concept, for example, you can teach the chemistry subject first. And then when doing the application of the chemistry concept, for example, you teach the colloid and how to you just implementing the syntax of the project based learning. There is a literature you can use like Laboy and Ras. He already mentioned about the STEM PGBL, STEM project-based learning, how to develop the research question, and then how doing the student develop the exploring the problems, and then using the STEM project, and then monitoring the project itself. But for the dilemma question, I think some of them asking question as well, Mamaya, probably we can doing together, yeah. Dilemma STEAM. When I doing this approach, dilemma story. The story should be creating the dilemma. Dilemma is using the ethical dilemma teaching pedagogy. You can see all the literature on it. So the student have to think about the solution. For example, the problems on the plastic, the project is plastic biodegradables. We have to create the story. So it is one example of the story. Kamu adalah anak pertama. You should put the student on their feet because it is empathy. Because it is learning for empathy. So you have to put their shoes on the position of the role playing. You are anak pertama dari 3 bersaudara, seorang pemulung. Apa yang Anda lakukan, bla bla. Dilemma number 1. The story is continue. So they answer the question and the story is continue. So we can use any ways to explore the story. You can write the story or you can put the picture of it. For example, you can like do you know apa ya, kura-kura yang terkena sedotan itu, the picture-nya, it can stimulate the value, the emotion, the empathy of the students, and they will think how to solve the problem. So it is the syntax of dilemma STEM. The idea is not put the chemistry concept on the beginning or any concept. So the first one is reflection. The reflection mean you put the story like that, or you put the picture only. The picture like the turtle that all the rubbish bin everywhere and so on. So it is the reflection. The second one is exploration. The student has to solve the problem. So it is before giving the chemistry concept, before giving the topic. So doing the reflection, doing exploration. Why are we doing it? Because we would like to explore student empathy, emotion first before they understand the subject. And it is value knowledge education. So the theoretical background behind it is one of it is value knowledge education. And then when we doing the elaboration, the third stage, we teach about the colloid in any chemistry concept. So after teach the concept, we do develop the project as a solution. The plastic, biodegradable plastic, the pollution, all the water filtration, and so on. And the transformation, it should not be reflection assessment, not only reflection on the concept, but also the values, the character. We can do like CATS, classroom assessment techniques, yeah, as a feedback for us, how they being empowered, they aware of the problems, they're solving the problems, and they are already creating the solution, the product, and so on. So it is the idea is can be finish the subject first and doing the implementation, but for dilemma STEM, you do it later because we would like to engage the student with the story, emotion, and so on. So that's Maya. Yeah, probably yeah, there is some publication as well related to that issues.
Thank you very much. So we need to contextualize first, and
Yeah.
then it goes with the concept afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we go to the next question, also for Prof. Yuli. The question is from Reza Anis. How focusing on empathy in STEM education influence future technology innovation?
Okay. So I will tell you the story. Last 3 weeks I went to India. So because I'm doing the STEAM research and then science experiment for the blind students, and there is an international conference on for the blind students. So they using the STEAM to helping the blind student for learning. For example, they develop the glasses. They can like the glasses can scan. For example, could you describe what is in the classroom? And the glasses doing scanning, and the output is the sound. The classes is 19 square meters, and there is 19 people in front of the table. One of them open up the computer, and then they also have the tools to scan the book, like the title of the book, the content of the book throughout the sound. So what is the ideas of the empathy? The empathy we should be integrated. It should be inclusive and ethical ways. Inclusive means, for example, that kind of inclusive education. We develop the assistive technology, screen readers for the individuals for disabilities. But the other one, the ethical ways, we can develop the ideas about the environments, like you mentioned about the plastic that I mentioned, the pollution that I mentioned, or you would like to develop the buildings to be strong from the earthquake. It is a ways of develop the empathy. So I will show you the book of the empathy, that the project of UNESCO that I get the funding from UNESCO. So one of it is in the mata pelajaran IPA. So we have to relate it. For example, it is earthquake subject, and then it is the aim of the subject. The student can describe and develop the nilai empathy untuk korban bencana gempa. What is the nilai empathy? Is develop awareness, social community, environment, and so on. So it is the case study. The student give the case study. So what is the dilemma? The dilemma gempa in Banten. So we have to take the contextual problems. The data is from the earthquake in Banten. So you have to put the student, it is dilemma story. The case should be like stimulated the emotion. Kamu adalah anak kelas, kamu memiliki sahabat Dondi dengan disabilitas, kemudian terjadi gempa, so put the picture on it, kamu berlari, and then there is a question, what do you want to do? Ceritakan dilema, menolong Dodi, dan sebagainya. Is all the picture after the second question, and then the teacher teach the content integration, teach about the gempa bumi, and the project development is develop the project rumah tahan gempa using tusuk gigi, plastinin, and so on. And then we check. And then during the transformation, student, we explore what do you think about the gempa bumi, helping your friends with disability, and so on. And then the other one, we also create the assessment. Assessment related to student understanding, we should provide the case study. So what do you think, blah, 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 text 1, text 2, and so on. So it's also develop the student literacy on the subject. So that's the example, Umaya.
Yeah. So yeah, that's very possible. Okay, thank you. Now we go to the next question. This is from Pak Agus Salim, and I quote the question. How about the using of nature-based solution approaches to support SDGs goal, especially to cover the impact from oil spill and often pollutant in ecosystem?
Yeah. Okay. thank you very much, Pak Agus. Is really related because what I'm doing through the STEM project, I used to working together with chemistry lecturers because I have limited understanding on chemistry because throughout my master and PhD, all mostly in education since graduated for more in education compared to chemistry. So for example, if you're using the nature-based solution, you have to making connection. You already making connection between NBS and SDGs. For example, it's related to climate action, SDGs. I already pointed out SDGs 13, SDGs 14 on the life below the water because we have to help the marine biology, and then also life on the land because it's also related to the rehabilitation of the from the pollution and also the clean water. And then what happened is how we doing that STEAM education through the nature-based solution. If you would like to do it as a project, you have to define the project like NBS. What is science inside the NBS? What is mathematics, the engineering, and also the and also the technology that is used. So when we combine it as a project, even though probably you mentioned, oh, probably it is only related to the science and technology, that's okay. At least you have, if you would like, because it's already related to SDGs. So the next one, you have to relate it to the STEM education. So we also can make like, for example, if it is would like to implementing in the classroom, probably you would like to variate the natural absorbent that the student would like to use. Probably they can use how to absorb the oil. Probably the material can be coconut, probably the other things. So based on the concept that would like to teach for the students. And then the interesting thing about doing this kind of project is you can invite the lecturers or the expert in the field. If it is not the lecture, it can be partner in industry as well. How they solve the problem is related to the pollutant in the ecosystem. So I think itu Bu Maya and it's very great project ya because everything it should be using the natural things to protect the environment as well.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Yuli. I try to digest all the concept like the chemistry and oil spill, and I still try to digest your answer. Anyway, let's go to the last question from the audience. The question is how human values are instilled in STEM learning related to sustainable education. Because
so since my background is from transformative education, and then one of the transformative education values is if you have to engage with the understanding yourself and others, and also future envisioning, and also the empathy, blah blah blah, and human values. So I think aligning the STEAM learning with the core human value, the first it can be through empathy, like you develop the problems like that earthquake, flood, and then it should be related to the subject. It can be like that develop the things for the blind student, for example. And the second one, it should be also respect to the nature because it's environmental is usually commonly issues in the subject. So probably we can how to perceive the ecosystem like Pak Agus mentioned. How about like the project of renewable energy, the project of waste management is one of the ways to develop the core human values. The third one is about the integrity and responsibility. So like what I'm working together with the other universities in Japan and Malaysia and Thailand is related how to use the AI, the technology to develop that kind of responsibility of our society. Like probably we discuss about if we use this tool, should be the security and so on. It's also related to the subject. So I think that kind of moral culture is very important, and we don't want to like Pak Munas pointed it out about the culture. It's also STEM. It's also STEAM because it is a part of the cultural sustainability. We don't want our kids lost their culture in this identity. So please introduce the indigenous and local wisdom to be integrated. For example, if making a dodol, misalnya di Tangerang, dulu buat dodolnya tradisional. bagaimana STEM helping making the dodolnya itu jadi for the future technology. So we can use this indigenous knowledge. Like I come from Bima, Nusa Tenggara Barat, and then my mother usually like using the coconut santan untuk keramas begitu ya. Nah, santan untuk keramas itu sekarang malah digunakan untuk sampo. Termasuk juga misalnya susu kuda liar. Dulu tuh bisa untuk lulur dan sebagainya. Dan itu kita bisa buat sabun dan sebagainya. Biarpun itu that's too expensive ya. But we can use that indigenous and local knowledge for develop the STEAM approach in the classroom. Thank you. Thank you, Bu Maya.
Very exciting. It is exciting how STEM education can actually be extended and become a promising promising that it can actually solve several problems that we have and develop students and so on. But then this is my question. So Prof. Yuli and Pak Munas has worked in this field for quite some time. So reflecting from your work, what are actually the barriers in implementing or integrating STEM education in Indonesia, in Indonesian context? What are the prevailing barriers actually? Who wants to go first?
Saya nggak enak nyuruh Pak Munas. Nanti besok ketemu diapain nanti saya. Okay, so the first one is the challenge is because in Indonesia there is no thematic approach except in the primary schools, because when I teach in Australia it's thematic. So when you teach the chemical bonding, the theme is water. So you have to face the challenge how to, because at the time you have to collaborate with the other teacher. And then the second one is about student and teacher paradigms, because there is a paradigm of hard control called reason. Cold reason is for the student. The student usually enjoy for being the passive learners because it's the comfort zone. It's called reason. And the hard control is the teacher. For teacher, teaching you have to explain, like myself like this. You have to explain. So when you give opportunity for the student, you feel that it is not teaching. And the student even feel like you are not learning. So it is the big challenge. The third one is assessment. So even though we're doing the thematic, especially in the elementary schools, we just using it like the assessment will be separate assessment, and then the assessment is judgment of the basic, the surface learning, the basic knowledge. So I think we have to learn how to more incorporate the authentic interdisciplinary assessment and so on, so the students can create the meaningful understanding about what they learn is related to how they being assessed by the teachers. That's all, Maya. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Our testing culture, perhaps one of the because it has dominated, then it becomes a barrier. How about you, Pak Munas? What seems to be the most
Okay,
problems?
yeah. So thank you. I think in addition to what Prof. Yuli mentioned, I think first one is about the teachers. Some teachers are still have the perspective that the prescription is the textbook. So they are teaching according to textbook. So as long as all the materials in textbook, they will teach it. So that's the first paradigm that we have. And the second one is the how our education in Indonesia is shaping by the market, the demand of the market. So parents, the first schools to teach kids, so the kids get good scores, regardless whatever they do in the classroom. So they get a good mark, and they can, for example, in primary schools, they get good scores, so they can go to they can accept the good private schools, they can public schools, they go to the private schools and scores still the goals of some community here. So it's leave the burden to schools, I think. So sometimes schools, teachers can do their best efforts because of these things. There is the demand of the market, and also how the teachers see the curriculum as the prescription and the textbook as the prescription, in addition to what Prof. Yuli mentioned. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So it's still difficult to delegate learning, or learning or teaching agency is still very rare in our setting. Okay, that will be a wrap. But I would like both presenter to give final remark for our discussion today. Prof. Yuli, perhaps you would like to give your final remark first.
Okay, so I think within our education system, all the challenges, one of the most important as an educator, because first we need to have patience. Patient means you have to love teachings, love your students, and then once you have that patience, you can just create all the meaningful, and then also the meaningful, also the contextual learning, especially in the STEM learning. So be proud to be a teacher, and then develop your love for your teaching and your students. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Pak Munas, would you please give your final remark?
All right. So currently we live in a highly digital world, but that doesn't mean we should forget our traditions. We must strive to preserve our culture, one way of which is by utilizing tradition and local wisdom in our classroom. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. It has been a great discussion today with and also the audience. You have been very good. Thank you for both presenter who has given us for their expertise and knowledge they share with us, and really eye-opening, a new knowledge for us. Okay, I'm Maya Devianti. I'm signing out from your moderator. Bye now. See you guys. Thank you.
Terima
Apa
kasih.
mau
Thank you,
Thank
Pak
you.
Maya. Thank you,
jangan
Pak
lupa Kak
Munas,
Zikri.
Pak Zikri,
Thank you, Prof.
Prof. Maila.
Yuli,
Thank you.
Prof. Maya,
Yes.
Ya,
Prof. Maila, Prof.
assalamualaikum.
Lutfi.
Thank you, Prof.
Waalaikumsalam
Yuli, Pak
warahmatullahi
Munas.
wabarakatuh.
Sudah foto
Yes.
bersama belum Pak
Yes,
Zikri?
not yet, not yet. We are
Belum.
going to have a photo
Maila.
session together. Thank you to our speakers, Prof. Yuli Rahmawati and Pak Munas Priyanto Alamri PhD, for their enlightening presentation, and to our moderator, very, very esteemed moderator, Bumaya Devianti PhD, for expertly guiding this session. Now we would like to present certificates of appreciation to both our speakers and moderator for their valuable contributions. Prof. Maila, would you kindly to present the certificate?
Okay, thank you very much. For the honorable speakers, Prof. Yuli Rahmawati and Pak Munas. First is Prof. Yuli or Pak Munas? You are preparing the certificate? Okay, the first one is for the first speaker, Prof. Yuli Rahmawati. We are very thankful to you for your flexibility to start anytime sooner, even before the schedule, and also for your long-standing support to our program at UIN Syarif Hidayatullah Jakarta. And we hope that this is not the last one. I know you'll embark to the next
Position.
the responsibility that you will have, as the attaché of education and culture of Republic of Indonesia in Australia. We hope that it will strengthen the cooperation of both country, and also maybe could be the bridge for our civitas academica, or our lecturers to have a connection and collaboration with scholars from Australia. Pak Zikri, what's going on with the certificate? Why it's just like come and go, come and go?
There is a
Okay,
hiccup.
here
Sorry,
is
a
certificate.
hiccup. A hiccup. A little hiccup. Sorry. Please.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Prof. Maila. Thank you, Pak Zikri. Thank you, everyone.
Yes, and the spotlight is on me, not on Prof. Yuyun. Okay, so we are sorry for Effie is actually now the operator, so we should blame her. Okay, thank you, Ibu Prof. Yuli. And the next certificate will go to Pak Munas Ramli. Pak Munas is, yeah, we are very proud of your work as academics and also entertainer. Yes, yes. We hope that this collaboration and this our work together will continue, and also there will be more publication from you. Yes, thank you so much, Pak Munas. Tidak bisa berkata-kata dia emang. And next, yeah, the next is for Ibu Maya Devianti, PhD. Yes, we are very thankful to you because we always think about who will be very flexible and easy to access. And one of them is Bu Maya, because Bu Maya always with her enthusiasm. Yes. Yeah, we are right. I'm ready, and I'm so happy with that. And thank you very much for your support to our programs. And we hope we will continue with many works together. Thank you, Ibu
Thank you.
Maya.
Thank you for the opportunity, Prof. Maila. It's really nice to discuss with all the experts that invited in this conference. I hope we can collaborate one day.
Yes, thank you so much. And
you.
you just open a collaboration with Ibu Yuli, ya.
Yeah.
Hopefully it will work,
Yeah.
ya.
Yeah, please.
Looking
Yes.
forward,
I will
Prof. Yuli.
contact Bu Yuli straight away.
Yeah, please visit me, yeah.
Yeah, to Sydney, to invitation from
Okay.
Yeah.
Sydney. Yeah, yeah. Anyone's going to Sydney, Bu Yuli will be there. Start on Januari, ya, Bu, ya.
Yeah, January,
Okay,
inshallah.
Alhamdulillah.
Okay.
So the first attaché of education and culture in
Woman.
Asia, in Australia, women, yeah, first
Yeah.
women.
Yes.
Yeah, and yes, and we should be also proud because the first Muslim. Yes, thank you. Yes, very proud of you. Okay, thank you so much, Pak Zikri. Now it's yours again.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we will now take on a break and reconvene at 1 p.m. Jakarta time, and for plenary session 3, Applied Physics in Engineering, featuring Dr. Artem Bezrukov from Kazan National Research Technological University, Russia, and Associate Professor Rites Chug, PhD from Central Queensland University, Australia. This session will be the plenary session will start at 1 p.m. Yes, and we are going to meet again at 1 p.m. Let me know if you need parallel sessions information later. Thank you very much.
Foto?
See you. Oh,
Dari foto?
yes.
Yes,
Sorry.
yeah.
One more
Yeah,
thing.
foto.
Photo session. Would you
Yeah.
kindly, all of you, to open the camera so that
Yes,
we can
yes.
take a nice picture of all the participants from
Wow. Wah,
this.
Pak Asep kenapa jadi kartun itu?
Iya, Pak Asep
Avatar.
menjadi avatar.
Avatar. Oke, yes. Siapa
Right.
yang ambil? Pak Zikri udah ambil?
Yes, ada moderator. Ada moderator, ada operator. Oke, first screen, second screen. Okay, thank you very much all. See you at 1 p.m. Due
Thank
to
you.
the video.
Mohon izin ya, Pak
Assalamualaikum.
Zikri.
Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.